feels so good. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So this is officially episode 15. We have a little bit of a hiatus there. But we had a hiatus on podcast. We didn't actually have a hiatus on actually gaming though. I feel like we've still been pretty consistent overall.
I would say I've been consistently like doing at least one dungeon a week, if not more. But I haven't really
Yeah.
been pushing. I think I started really kind of pushing a little bit like a week or two ago. Like I got to
Yeah.
like 6 on my shamans. I haven't really gone much beyond that. And then I started playing Trinity again, which like I've not really put a whole lot of time into it. I've just been like getting a key done a week and doing
Yeah.
like Torghast and stuff, but it's feeling really good. I'm like looking forward to pushing.
Yeah, that's kind of like the important part though of the teams, is like sometimes like if you're just not feeling it, if you just still get that one dungeon in, you still get the end of the week loot, and you kind of like that's what ended up happening for my Trinity team too. Was I was still getting them a key, every so often of completed. So when I actually wanted to play them, they were actually decently geared at that point. They were a little bit more effective. But I guess because you focused more on the shamans as well, and we both tried to make them work. But for some reason, the Trinity comp just seems like it's way stronger.
Yeah, well, so one thing too is like I don't have a separate shaman for my Trinity team, so I actually use one of my shamans from my core shaman team. So my resto shaman's like 208 eye level.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
so
awesome.
Like my healer can kind of get me out of some situations that I feel like if my shaman was like 190 eye level, probably wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
So that's nice, but it definitely like there's like this treadmill that you hit around like item level 195 to 200, and then it's just like a slow grind from there. So I'm hoping to push as hard as I can to get my Trinity to the point where I can do like 7s or something, because that would like increase like the factor of gear. So
well, it's a unique situation for multiboxing though, because if you played solo, you could definitely just join like a heroic raid, right? Or you could try to PvP your way out of it, because the heroics, or even if you somehow got mythics in there too, I mean that's where you get the massive upgrades of the 213s, the 226s. But we literally can't do that at that kind of scale.
Yeah.
So we definitely cap out a lot faster.
I wish they would lessen the gap between mythic dungeons and end of week rewards.
Yes.
I mean, I know why they made the change. They wanted people to do more content.
Yeah.
But that definitely hurt us a lot.
Yeah, I'm feeling that right now, especially when you do a +10 and you time it and you get a 203 item out of it, like it feels really weird. Like it feels super, because you could do a +3 I think and also get a 203, and like it's like the difficulty range on those is wildly different.
Well, it doesn't like motivate you to do anything more than like 1 run a week, which like stinks, because I'm like, oh yeah, all I have to do is like 1 run a week and like I maximize my reward potential.
Yeah.
But then like part of me also wants to push, but it's like I'm not incentivized to do so. So like if given the option, I'm probably not going to.
Yeah.
One
thing
I feel like that's where I've been.
I know this is kind of unpopular for some, but one thing I hope that Blizzard brings back to the game is Titan forging. I know it wasn't, some people didn't like it at all, but for us it was really healthy, because we could grind out those 10s or even less than that and still have a potential for getting that mega boost item in there to help gear us out better or something.
Well,
yeah.
I wish they would change the way Valor points are structured. I don't know why they put a cap on it. That seems kind of silly to me. Like, I don't know, like doing all 5s, that's fine.
Yeah.
Even doing all 10s, I can kind of understand. But like all 15s unlocks to like 226, right? Like what is even
no 15s will unlock you to 220, which is the equivalent of doing a 10 dungeon, which gives you a 220 in the vault. So it's kind of weird, right? Because I've been getting 220 items now, and I'm like, wait a minute, if I've unlocked 15s, like I couldn't even get even better gear. And the sad thing is I still have yet to purchase a Valor item. Like I've used 0 Valor points on there. I don't know.
I used some yesterday on my Trinity.
I need to use them though. Yeah.
It feels bad. Like it's like a terrible band-aid to a problem. Like they didn't really solve the problem at all. It's kind of like a slap in the face.
I'm sure we'll get something cool, by 9.3 in terms of some kind of, crazy like little buffing of power, because we had Titan forging in BFA, and we also had, I think it was in, well, I know BFA's, what's that? Yeah, we got corruption at the end, right? But in between those, also we also got whatever that currency was that allowed you to buy the chest piece, the shoulders, and the head, right? The Azurite armor.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things where, yeah, those were also ways that we could gear up to be equivalent to, like, you know, high end rating or whatnot. Like, we were able to fill those slots.
Yeah, that was a nice mechanic.
So with that, at the end of like 8.3, even if I wasn't doing like the crazy high content, I was still able to fill out my next slot, which was the Azurite piece, right?
Well, I feel like that's what they could do with Valor points, right? Like, if they just made it so that there was no cap on it and you could take it up to 220, period, then like it would just feel fine, because like people would just upgrade their weapons, and like it would just feel good, because the fact is, like, Valor points, you get like 135 a run or something. Like, it's not like even if you could get to 220, like, there's a huge incentive for you to upgrade an item that's like 213 versus upgrading an item that's like 184.
Right. No, exactly. And so the biggest issue we've had is obviously the gearing problem in terms of seeing how powerful our characters are, because a lot of solo players now are basically almost like best in slot, like quite a few of them. Like, you know, they're full 226 across the board and everything. Like, their characters are complete and they're able to blow through, you know, 15s, and the highest right now is obviously 25. I don't think we could do a 25, but I feel like if our characters were full 226 best in slot, I don't see how, you know, 15s would be that hard. Because right now,
do you think you're that far off from doing 15s though? Because like I mean, I haven't really been watching your 10 runs, but like, I'm just curious.
So the big thing is, though, is I feel like it's like a sliding curve to me, is what I consider it, right? Like,
because it grows exponentially.
Yeah, in terms well, the mythics as well, but as also like the gear too. Like, you know, I think going from like 205, which is what I'm at right now, to 226 would be like a mega massive upgrade in terms of damage.
Right. Even 5 item levels right now is huge.
Yeah, and one thing I've considered, and I'm sure if I mention this, somebody's going to do it, right? Which isn't a bad thing, but there was an announcement. Did you see that they're coming up with a new tournament for Mythic Plus? It's like a push. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't really understand the implications though. They're basically just doing a tournament.
So they're doing a tournament, and you basically, they're going to see who can push the key the highest, right? Instead of doing this right now, with the current one was Mythic 18s, you know, speed runs kind of thing. Who can do it the fastest?
Oh, I see.
So now instead of that, it's who can push the key, you know, to the highest potential, and you know, you're on the tournament
run. Been all along,
yeah, no, I totally agree. Now, little people were squawking about the prize pool, but I'm just happy that they're making the tournament in the first place. But one thing that was interesting to me is you could hypothetically sign up for this, right? And then just get 5 characters that are fully best in slot, and then just see what the real potential of one of our combos is at that point. Without that, you know, if somebody has a little bit of time. Yeah, the only limitation though that I don't know if it'll affect us is one of the rules for it though is you cannot spec stack, so we would not be able to do like triple BM. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I did see that. That was one of the rules, but I wonder if that's like, if that just disqualifies you, or if it's actually like you can't zone in.
Yeah, because the whole thing is, I really don't think that we would compete on that same level, but it would be really nice to see like if I had the Trinity comp that was fully geared. I'm pretty sure, I feel like we could potentially time, like if the affix is aligned and you can pick whatever you want, you could probably do an 18. I don't see how that would be too big of an issue.
Oh, I think Blizzard picks them, right? So you can get like it's going to be different for each dungeon, so I feel like they're just going to pick like the most obnoxious thing they can.
But I mean like we could do like a you know, a necrotic wake or something, and use the multi-boxing special on the on the spears.
I feel like that's a great way to get them to fix that.
Oh my god, it's so interesting too, because if for whatever reason if the general public, the Mythic Plus pushers knew about it, I mean that would be the highest time key for sure. They just don't do it. I don't know. And even now though, it's also extremely hard. It's for some reason something got changed. It's harder to pull off now. By the way, on my last,
it definitely seems like there's some latency to it for sure.
My last necrotic wake, like I pretty much got singles, I think, on the whole. Almost every one, so it wasn't you know where that was, but
I almost wonder if like using interact with mouse over might be more effective.
Yeah, you know what, you're probably right. I should be doing that.
Would be less or something. I might try that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know I kind of went all over the place on that. Yeah, so they're doing a tournament on that. I mean, that would be interesting if we had some multi. I've thought about doing that when they have like these Mythic Plus challenges or whatever, because they basically give you, fully geared people.
Yeah,
but
best in slot.
Yeah, best in slot. But it still doesn't count as like the real thing, but we just get kind of hampered because some weeks are dead keys for us.
Like I said, there's no incentive to push. So like if you do your 10 for the week and you don't have good keys, like why sit there and do a bunch of 8s hoping that you get like a 10 HOA or something? Like there's no incentive to do it. You might as well fart around on the tournament realm.
Yeah, no, that was basically last week, right? With quaking, sanguine quaking. Oh my god.
That's why I leveled my DKs. I was like, you know what? Let's do something else.
Yep. But this week is a little bit better. I mean, you did a 5, you did a 6 as well, didn't you already this week? On the Trinity?
What have I done?
And as an opener, when we keep saying Trinity, if you're just like listening to this, it's the Holy Trinity is kind of like the abbreviation of it. So there's always a tank, healer, and 3 DPS. But for us, it's primarily Beastmaster Hunters, and the tank and the healer is kind of a mixed bag. But it's kind of fallen on Resto Shaman, I think, has been the healer. I think
I've done 2 5s on the Shamans, and I've done a 5 and like 3 level 3s on the Trinity.
Okay, I gotcha.
And I'm kind of trying to troll for like the perfect 7 key. So I just got 7 miss, which is doable, but I've got an HOA 6 key. So I'm hoping if I can +2 the HOA 6 and get it into like Sanguine Depths or something, then get my 8 done for the week. I can even potentially time that. I am worried that I'm going to hit like a wall at like the 8 to 9 level.
Yeah.
Because like 10 is easier once you get the
for
prideful,
sure,
right? And that's how it was in BFA too. Once you kind of got used to,
because you could do the skips and everything as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely like 8 to 9. I feel like it's like the hardest breach to kind of get over. But I would like to get a 7 or 8 done off time this week, and if I could time one, that would be perfect, because then the next week I would get like another 7. And I think the affixes for next week aren't that great. I think it's our favorite one for where the ads spawn.
Yeah, Spiteful. Yeah,
it's another Spiteful week, so it's it could be good for Trinity though. I feel like it's not going to be a good Shaman week.
Yeah, it's not too bad for Trinity, because basically you just keep multi-shot going, and you can kind of just I don't. And there's some things I haven't been taking advantage of that I was thinking about, right? Like one of the things is you could be cycling out Binding Shot, right? That would make it way easier. Or if you switch to Marksman, they get like some kind of knockback ability
if you took them all down at the same time, you could just Ring of Peace and run away.
Yeah. No, you can.
It has like a pretty short cooldown, so I think that's probably what my approach would be. But then the level 7 affix is the like tornadoes or something.
Oh, storming. Yeah, but with rain, it's not too bad. You just stay pretty far back. I was gonna say the affix this week, which is the 7, which is explosive, is really good for Trinity. The hunters do really well on it. I am concerned about Mist though, the second boss, because she spawns 4 ads, right? Plus, I don't know if all those ads cause explosives. Yeah. That would get basically unmanageable.
There was a boss in BFA that had Temple of Sothralis.
Last boss.
Yeah, the last boss was like kind of rough for explosive. Because it would spawn on like any of them, and you just see like this explosive across the room, and you'd be like, it'd be about to go off. You're like, shit.
You can't do anything about it. Yeah, I think that was also bad too in the Mechagon as well, wasn't it? The troll looking dude when he spawned all the ads. I think they had to fix that. Something about that where that caused a bunch of explosives as well. Like it was unmanageable. Trogdor.
Was it a troll-looking dude? It was the guy to the right when you like.
Yeah, where he stomps and basically do the electricity charge things.
In general.
Yeah, it was.
It took me a really long time to figure out how to like do that boss.
Yeah, it was interesting though. I mean, there was some mechanics though that made it work.
Like Gunker was rough, but like that boss was even worse. Because Gunker, like once you figured it out, like once you like, it was just execution. The other boss was like, I don't know, it was a little bit of a cheese, and the mechanic was weird.
So I'm interested to see with 9.1 though, the new ones though, I mean the new 10 boss raid. I think it's 10 boss. Same style, 8 bosses,
Yeah,
10 boss.
same style.
So is there actually going to be, there's going to be a raid though as well with it, isn't there? Like, yeah, that's right. There's going to be the raid plus another 10 boss dungeon like Mechagon, which is like all the ethereals are going to be the bad guys.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're doing them together.
I'm surprised that the ethereals aren't a playable race, by the way. At this point, I figured they would have been introduced somehow.
Well, aren't they called something else now?
Probably.
I forgot. They're like they are like the same thing, but they have like a different name. They're not traders. Yeah. They're something else.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about though. Yeah. So that's the. So 9.1 is actually looking pretty interesting, but it's going to be a little while away. So hopefully, if you're liking Shadowlands, you enjoy the content of what we have currently, because I would guess that 9.1 isn't going to be until July, if I had to guess. Or
I mean, if you just do one dungeon a week, probably not going to burn out.
No, so that's what I'm running into right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My plan is to do a 10, and I feel like if I do one dungeon a week on the Trinity, it's eventually going to happen.
Oh yeah. The affixes are going to align. I looked at the. Oh shoot! I'll look this up right now while we're doing this. I looked it up.
You looked at the affix
schedule. Yeah, the schedule. Yeah, let me look at that real
quick.
I
think we've got another like rough road ahead of us.
Yeah, there's
I don't know. I feel like the affix schedule has kind of been shitty. Like we either the 4 or the 7 is just annoying.
Well, the problem is it goes in a rotation and then it goes back to the same rotation. So we can never align with the best ones, right? So this week isn't too bad, but the problem is Tyrannical obviously makes the bosses a little too rough.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I hated Tyrannical in BFA. I don't hate it in Shadowlands. Like Tyrannical ends up being like my better weeks, to be honest with you.
It is very true. If you can still down the boss, it's a much better week, because the fortified you end up having the fortified overall is more health that you have to take out, right? And it's more damage that you intake, because the trash is technically harder. But they did
like much harder, though.
Yes,
like especially in like Plaguefall, like holy cow.
Yeah, which is what I was really surprised with, because last week was fortified, right? And I brought the warrior in for the Trinity comp, and he slayed it. Like, but his eye level was 195. I was like, what is this? It didn't feel that strong when because I never played the warrior with the shaman. I was always with the monk. So now that I'm trying the warrior, and it felt really good. So I'm interested today, or whenever I'm going to try the warrior out. I'm interested to see if it still keeps up. If it wasn't a fluke. So the schedule. The schedule, I wish I could I'll have to figure out how to, when we get this podcast thing, I can show this on here. But next week is Spiteful and Volcanic, which the Spiteful is hard for us because it slows us down, right? So it's not a great push week. The week after that is Tyrannical, Bolstering, Necrotic. Bolstering is not too bad.
I think that's actually a good week. I think that's I don't mind bolstering, and necrotic can be bad, but
not for our eye level though, or like for our difficulty. Yeah, it doesn't get terrible. The necrotic's not too bad. The biggest thing is it doesn't slow us down. So that's a decent one. And then the next week after that, might be one of our better ones, which is Fortified, Inspiring. I like Inspiring a lot. Inspiring doesn't hurt that bad. It's not too bad.
Inspiring is so I have not seen where like Inspiring's been I think Inspiring becomes a problem once you have to CC, and that's like. I mean, I never CC.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. And then Storming is with that too. And if you're playing a ranged comp, Storming is not too bad. The only parts where Storming was really bad was like the Dr. Ickes fight in Plaguefall, because you're on a really small platform and you have to do his mechanics. It became like a not too feasible thing. You know, it's very specific things, right? Yeah. And then the week after that, Tyrannical, Bursting, Explosive. That's kind of like this week with Raging Explosive. So that's not too bad. The week after that is really bad with the Sanguine Fort Grievous, and the week after that it's a Raging Quaking. So those weeks are kind of The week after that one though is a potentially push week for us, which is Bursting, Fortified, Volcanic. So if you just stay in melee range,
I'm so glad they nerfed Bursting.
With that being nerfed, I would say, and that's the end of May. So that's a month and a half from now. I would say that's your. If you keep this schedule, I would say you would get a 10 by then, for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to
Uh,
get a 10 within the next month. I
yeah.
don't. That might be a little aggressive, but
No, so I mean, with that, you have this week, which obviously is still hard because you're gearing up. I would say in not in this coming week, but the week after that, bolstering necrotic is definitely doable, and then inspiring, storming, fortified, that's also totally doable too. Uh,
I think 2 weeks from now and 3 weeks from now, those are
yeah.
the bolstering necrotic and the inspiring storming. I think those are like because those, yeah, like especially with the right tank, like necrotic is so easy to deal with.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For
Like
sure.
you ring a piece and you just run away. Like yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah. So Zoc is pushing using a monk tank, but the nice thing is we still have other tanks in the I guess in the tank. That doesn't make sense. Like
Well,
on the back
I've thought
burner
about
that are
bringing in my
benched.
demon hunter with my trinity.
Yeah, I mean I think that's
My
totally
demon hunter's
feasible
so
too. If
weird, and I really like the demon hunter.
especially if you like it, yeah. And they have really good self healing, but on top of that too, you also technically have the druid that you could pull out
Yeah,
to make that work too. And another thing that we really haven't taken advantage of, if you really wanted to like maximize and push it though, is just having which we haven't done, but is like the split covenants, right? Like it doing sanguine
speak for
depths.
yourself.
I know. Doing Sanguine Depths though, or Halls of Atonement, and having a Venthyr is a massive, massive difference now.
So
Uh,
sanguine depths with like I plus 3'd sanguine depths earlier today, and my
yeah,
shaman is Venthyr,
yeah,
and that made a huge difference. And then like my brewmaster and my hunters are all uh, Maldraxian and
yeah.
Necrolords. And then like I've got a Curian demon hunter. So like I feel like I've got a pretty good mix. And then if I wanted to bring in a guardian, I've got the Night Fae there. So I've got a
Hey,
pretty good
that's
balance.
true.
I
You
definitely
got it
recommend it.
covered. I've found it's hard to utilize well the Night Fae one and the other side, just because you have to click on the thing while the fight's going on to stun the AOE stun with the urns.
Yeah,
But it,
I truthfully haven't like really touched the other side. The last boss just feels like a waste of time.
yeah. One that's really helpful though is Necrotic Wake, the first boss. If you have Kyrian, so you can activate that golem to give the heals and everything. That's obviously
Yeah,
a big deal. But with if you could throw a couple spears at him though, obviously it makes the fight easier too.
yeah. I never spear on that boss,
Huh?
and I feel like I should, but for some reason I get this spear anxiety that like if I don't go into the last boss with 4 spears,
With
I'm
four
not gonna
spears,
kill him.
yeah, I know.
And if I wipe, then I need backup spears. So
Yeah.
I never spear unless I'm on the last boss. But I know that that's like kind of in my head. But I also know that like I've pretty much got that blight whatever boss down at this point. Like he's really. It took a little bit, but he's
Hmm.
super predictable and easy, especially with the chain lightning boss.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. No, I do have that same issue too. I'm like, oh my god, I don't have enough spears for the last guy. Like, is this gonna happen? Because if you can't drop them with the spears, then you pretty much the whole thing's not doable. Which is kind of the crux of the multi-boxing conundrum. Is that it's really dependent. It's not so much that like how fast we can go, because we can kind of clear through trash sometimes decent or whatnot. But it's we hit a wall on some of the bosses, uh, being able to do them.
Yeah,
So
or we have just these like cockamamie strats that like don't work.
they don't
That work
scale
it
well.
really well at like 2 and 3, and then you get to
Yeah.
6 and 7, and you're like, oh, this doesn't like.
Yeah.
Echelon's a great example. Like for whatever
Yeah.
reason, that boss is like the bane of my existence.
No, it becomes really hard if you have to survive two waves of his ability or whatnot,
Yeah, well,
or
and
two waves of ads, I should say.
you can kind of get away with ignoring mechanics for the most part at like 3 and 4, and then once you get to like 5 or 6 on a tyrannical week, like that
Mm-hmm.
will pretty much kill your group if you don't spread out.
Yep. And
And
that
then your characters get sent all over the place, so you have to regroup. There's a lot more finesse to it
yeah.
than I felt like there was at the lower levels.
It really shined too, because when I tried to do that DOS
The 12.
12, yeah, the 12, but it was also tyrannical week too. But like you had to do the mechanics on Hakar, you had to do them on the gnome fight, and then you had to do them on the dealer fight, and then the only fight that I knew that I could definitely do the mechanics on easy was the last boss. I never got to him on there.
Yeah, but then with quaking, like I feel like that's a really high movement and like execution fight to begin with, which is why I don't like doing it.
Yeah. Oh
But
no,
I feel
that was the week before that one was before the quaking. But yeah, with quaking, he's not really doable. He's not really doable with quaking for
yeah, I know
our
we had talked
style.
about that.
Yeah, I think I tried it on a 9, and it was one of those things where because it makes it a lot easier if whatever that debuff you get on you, if you can just drop them all together as one. But when you do quaking, you have to spread your team out, and then you just drop that dot on the last guy, the Muzala, like everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you end up getting hit with it, and then you can't recover with the side items there. But yeah, quaking basically is just like, don't play this week. Although saying that though, I did do quaking. I did do 2 + 10 keys this past week on quaking.
Like a 10 like HOA or something like.
Yeah, he did an HOA too. Yeah,
like
I don't know how well it went though.
Quaking, like I watched his video on it though. He just star formationed everywhere, and it was like not a problem.
Not a big deal.
And I was like, oh, okay, because quaking like used to hurt a lot, but apparently if you spread out, it's manageable.
Yeah. So quaking now they changed it where before I think it always did damage, and now it doesn't do damage if you don't touch anybody, but if you do touch somebody, it does more damage than it did in the past.
Yeah.
On that, I think if like 3 people touch, it's essentially they all die. Or if 2 people touch, it's like half your health, something like that.
You also have to like interrupt spellcast,
which is tough too. Yeah, super tough. Yeah. Which is why, like, you know, on one of those combos, I mean, that's why the shamans have a lot of weaknesses, even though I'm trying to make them, you know, work so much. They don't feel like they're pushable like the Trinity comp, which is a really weird role reversal from where we were at the beginning of this expansion to now.
I feel like with shamans, they're like not doable. It's just that it requires. I don't want to say finesse. It's like you have to cheese a little bit more.
Yes.
It's not like, oh, let me just do the mechanics. It's like, how can I do the mechanics differently to like change the outcome of how this fight works? Core.
Well, I mean, because it essentially it's with one of those combos, and it kind of resonates too with the druids as well. But you have to basically ignore mechanics to do damage to kill the boss. Because as soon as you start going defensive, and you get Chain Harvest, which is one get out of jail free card, because you can still do damage with that. But as soon as you start using your Healing Surge or Chain Heals, I mean, your DPS essentially almost turned. Yeah, but your DPS at that point essentially turns to 0, which doesn't happen for a normal comp, and that's why it hurts when you're throwing out a quadruple heal, which does top off your entire team, but then you just lost, 3 to 5 seconds of actually doing damage to the boss.
Yeah, and if you take more damage while that's going on, then suddenly you're getting further and further caught behind. Yeah, it's a real problem. Like you basically don't have any ability to recover on the team, so you have to be flawless. I think that's what like the problem is. Whereas like when you're on Trinity, you can kind of get away with making a few mistakes.
Yes.
You've got like even Chain Harvest on Trinity does really well. Pretty much tops off the team, which is kind of making me think I should round robin Chain Harvest instead. But like, yeah, you just have so many things to like get you out of trouble, like Turtle or like Exhilarate, etc. And with Shamans, it's like if you get caught behind, then you have to start healing. Like you might as well, you're just screwed. Like you're not catching up.
Yep, I totally agree. Which a perfect example is the second boss in Mist's Mistcaller. On the Shamans, like. It takes that fight on the higher I haven't done like a super high key. Let's say like I think I did like a 7 on there though, but the fight is usually over a 3-minute fight, which seems abnormally long. Like a fight shouldn't be that long on a 7 key typically. I'm sure like a solo group probably kills that boss in like maybe a minute or so, or less. But yeah, you're just the whole time I'm spent running around trying to dodge stuff, and I can't DPS while moving. And then when I do need a DPS, I need to heal myself.
So I just learned. Sounds weird to say. I just learned how to do Mist last week. Like I basically have just like there's a few dungeons this expansion that I just haven't touched.
Yes.
This has been one of them, along with like Spires and like the other side, and even like Theater of Pain. Like I've really only been doing like the same 4 dungeons on repeat. But I finally like sat down and like just bashed my head against Mist this weekend, and I actually really enjoy the Mist Caller fight now. But
Huh.
there's like so much like it's so much just like getting in that rhythm of how the fight goes
Yeah.
and then executing, and it's like everything else is just like kind of whatever it is. But I also did it on Trinity. I've got a
That's
17.
what I was gonna say. I thought if you did it on Trinity, it's a lot more enjoyable because you have answers that are easy to fix the situation, especially
But
because the.
I also
Go
I
ahead.
feel like I don't find myself in situations though where like I have to like use a bunch of get out of jail free cards. I mean, I feel like my shaman does plenty of healing on that fight.
Yeah.
But I am curious to see what that fight is like on 4 shamans because I feel like it's not going to be like super
Oh
easy. I
no.
feel like it is going to be a challenge.
Yeah. So like, I mean, with your hunters though, I mean, you can rotate a freezing trap, right, to stop the
I
guy
never
from
got it to
freezing you.
work. Like he just kept getting broken out. I think
Huh.
it's because my monk just like I don't know.
Yeah, they could be it too, but also the other benefit though, right, is like you can run around and kind of feel
Yeah,
overwhelmed and focus on healing, but you can still have your hunters DPSing the right target, and because you're still moving though, you're still doing damage. You still drop the ad decently fast to kind of stop the AOE blasting from taking over. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that's the biggest thing though is with the hunter team, you can still massively heal yourself while still killing the boss in the same amount of speed, which is really nice. It's nice to be like, oh my god, and like you're just looking at one of your character's health and trying to like top them off to get him back up. But then when you look at the boss has just dropped like 5 to 10% health because your hunters were still doing their job on there. Have you tried marksman by the way at all?
I've not.
Okay.
Some people have said they've had like decent success with it.
Yeah.
I know it's very turrety. I feel like in the past when I played Trinity in BFA, I feel like I was very mobile. I
Yeah.
don't quite feel as mobile now because I'm not able to drive from the healer like I used to be able
Oh,
to.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, like I used to really abuse the crap out of that. So that's something I really miss. Just like being able to swap to a screen, drive from that,
Mm.
just leave my tank. But no, I don't know. I'm sure it could be okay, but BM kind of does just as well. So like, why?
I gotcha. No, I totally feel the same way. But by the way, I just switched to cleft hoofs for the tanks,
Yeah,
and they've done surprisingly a lot. But like I've noticed the benefit of them quite a bit more um, than I was expecting on there. They're very very tanky pets.
yeah. I've been using them ever since I was running one Shaman 400. If you remember that.
Yeah. You get that a shot for a little bit. They definitely changed the tanking ability of them for bosses and things, so that didn't seem to work. But at least when my tank dies with the cleft hoofs, usually there's a decent chance where if there's a couple mobs left, they can clean up, and I can just res from there without having to have a full wipe, which is
I was
pretty
doing
nice.
I was doing time walking and I accidentally pulled like 3 groups, and
Yeah.
my tank died, and then my healer died, and then I feigned death on my hunters, popped men pet, and like somehow killed like 2 or 3 packs with these cleft hoofs. Yeah, they're
Like
pretty
what just
insane.
happened?
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about the cleft hoofs is that they're so big. They take up like so much screen real estate.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because my hunters are dark iron dwarves, so they're just like they're even smaller, but they're still big. It's like really, it's kind of like a weird oxymoron. Um, that's like my only complaint though. They're just big.
Yeah, so I got there's a glyph you can get that makes your pet smaller. I don't know if you've gotten that. They're still decently large, but at least it makes them smaller.
I should look into
On
that.
there. Yeah, because I was tempted with. I know Jabbery uses bumblebees. I was tempted to use the bees because they really don't take up that much real estate. They're just like. But I also did not a lot. I did enough research where I guess I thought that the flying pets kind of ignored a lot of
Pathing issues.
yeah, pathing issues is what I was looking for. Yeah, but I couldn't find anything to back that up. I couldn't find that anywhere. So I kind of abandoned the idea of using a flying pet as some kind of benefit.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a thing or not. It
So
might
hey,
be.
so if anybody knows, it'd be interesting to find out. But I think it's It doesn't matter because the cleft hoof
Seems really edge.
is very viable of an option.
I can't think of like too many situations where that would like make or break a run.
No.
Or even be like big enough for me to be like, yeah, maybe I should do that.
Well, the issue was with the Beastmaster, you get the animal companion, I guess, which you get the second pet, which is like the highest DPS option on there. But the second pet has even worse AI than the first pet.
Dude, the second pet is just straight stupid.
Like I was trying to
talent just because of how useless that second pet is. Like I feel like it just stands there half the time.
No, I felt that way too, and I've ended up sticking with it. But yeah, the second pet really caused a lot of issues. And actually, the second pet, if you ever try to have war mode on, it basically makes it like even worse. If you thought it could be worse as a hunter getting stuck in PvP combat,
I would never play with war mode on hunters. That just sounds like a bad idea.
No, yeah, the only way you could function essentially is every time you end combat, you had to dismiss your pet. So I actually bound that to a macro where I would mount on my hive mind, and I would the mount key would dismiss pet at the same time. So it was a constant back and forth. But
alternatively, you could just not play in war mode.
No, that's what I ended up having to do though. I don't play in war mode anymore because on top of that, when you dismiss the pet. I mean, this has been a common thing, but like your pets retain like their debuffs or whatever it is, so it would retain whatever that combat passive is for a while. So as soon as you would dismount somewhere, even if it was like 5 minutes later, you would dismount and start attacking something, you would still be flagged for PvP combat because your pets were technically in combat, 5 minutes ago. It was like I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
You ever play like I don't know if you've played like other MMOs like in the past 10 years. It's like every new MMO that comes out, like the reason why people always come back to World of Warcraft is because it's like so polished.
Yes.
And I feel like the polish is just like falling apart. It's like cracking. The foundation is just cracking. There's just so many little things that are just starting to add up. It's like pet AI is terrible, or like you get stuck in combat, which like I guess for the average person doesn't really matter at all.
Yeah.
But it's just like way noticeable for us, I feel like.
So I'm not sure what's going on at Blizzard HQ, right? But one of the big complaints is for some reason they're reducing their customer support staff and their QA staff. At least that's what the headlines I've seen. And I don't understand why they're doing that. And I guess, and they're also using this situation with COVID as an excuse. Not an excuse, but it was one of the examples that they were not able to meet their deadlines as well as get products out. Which, I don't know. And I guess the only thing I can think of that would be an issue, obviously, is if you're working with really large files. Obviously, if everybody's remote, it's hard to like go back and forth. But that's more of like creating like the videos and things like that.
I think the challenge is just harboring that same creative spirit, like you're on a Zoom call rather than like physically like being able to go to somebody's office and be like, hey, I thought of like this cool idea.
Yep.
Let me share this with you. I feel like that's really it more than anything. But I also feel like morale at Blizzard is just terrible right now. Like if you like listen to any of like the WoW news groups, they're like always talking about the whatever, like sub numbers are down, which is like pretty typical, but like they're really not doing themselves any favor. I was expecting certainly by like May we would have 9-1, and so now we're looking at like August or September, which like as someone who's been slacking on Mythic Plus, that's like not a bad thing, but like
for a lot of people though, that's one of the issues though, right? Is they could release the product, but then we're gonna get even worse polish on there on it. But I will say for multiboxing though, they still take the cake. There's not another game that we can easily migrate to that has the same quality to it. Final Fantasy wasn't too bad, but yeah. For all intents and purposes, what I'm doing, it's good enough. But I totally get and understand like, the concerns on there too. I'm not sure how they can fix it. I guess they could hire more people, but I don't know what the underlying circumstances are, and I know some of the people that were part of the the downsizing was in the esports division, and that's just because they're not doing anything live. So I totally get why those are not there. Like it's a field that they realized they could just do it online, and it was just as effective. That makes sense to me. But when I hear that the grumblings about the QA and the customer support staff being downsized, you're like, that's I feel like PR, like a lot of that gives you good PR, So if
Most of it's
having
automated at this point, though.
yeah, no, it is, and I will say a lot of the automation features are really good. Like item restoration, I mean it's not a stressful thing because every time you accidentally delete something, you're like, oh shoot, but then you can fix it yourself, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point, though. Like that's what you strive as a support organization to do,
Yeah.
is to make it so that you provide tooling and knowledge so that people don't have to contact you. So
Yep.
I think they're at a point now where like realistically the only thing they need support staff for are to like overturn bans, really, or like for somebody to report an issue. But like
we need to get it
automated at this point.
We need an inside guy, right? That's on the dev team that has some political clout that can make some magic happen for multiboxing. Like
Fix interact with Target.
Yeah, that was gonna be my number one request. Like if they could make interact with Target for hunters, oh my god. Okay, that's number one, right? Number two, let us do pet battles again, because I'm not even a big Pokemon fan, but like that would be cool too, right? Like if I could actually just like do pet battles with myself. I don't know. I get maybe they intentionally stopped that one. Shoot, I'm trying to think if there's any other requests I'd have for multiboxing on there.
I don't know. I would be happy if honestly they just released more dungeons like all the time.
Yeah, follow, bring back follow and BGs. That'll work too.
Yeah, I don't know. I have like mixed feelings on Battlegrounds. I haven't done any PvP in like a long time.
Yeah, no, I haven't as well either. I really that's the whole reason I'm keeping the shamans alive though, is I can PvP with them.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. Battlegrounds were like pretty fun, but then like people were just being jackasses, so it's like I don't know. I'm like I don't think Blizzard has my back anymore. So
no, on some facets, right?
Like
we're too small, right? We're an easy target. Like I don't know. It's like I don't know. I don't even know a good analogy for it, but yeah, we're easy to pick on.
I'd rather not. I don't care enough about the content. So I'd rather just sit in Mythic Plus dungeons.
But but it's really nice though, right? Can you like? I really am happy though that Mythic Plus is a thing, because it's only been a thing for the last 3 expansions now. But it's really helped cultivate.
I've played the game, to be honest. Like,
yeah. No, I know there would be a lot less to do.
For us, yeah, there'd be like nothing to do. I don't know. I'm thinking like, because I have multi-box back in like Wrath, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys did it back then, because
it was the Wild
PvP,
West though. Yeah.
Right?
PvP was a huge draw though, like back then for us, for sure. It was the exact opposite of now. Where now PvE is definitely taking the cake. I remember PvE in Burning Crusade was more or less like an afterthought. Not an afterthought. It just wasn't the focus. PvP was like where it was at. Like you had your team, and you could just like wreck shop. But it was still competitive though, which was super cool. It wasn't like it was an insurmountable thing that people couldn't beat you. I mean, like they just figure out your weaknesses and exploit them.
Yeah, I was so bad looking back on like how I multi-boxed back then. Like, the fact that I was like 1500 is like insane, because I was not very good. I didn't have like any round robin. I played one paladin, 4 death knights, and it was really bad.
Yeah, but no, I mean I didn't have a lot of that either though. I didn't have a lot of that either. I mean, I would say that my IS boxer skills, even then, like for multi-boxing skills, just in general, like started getting really good, in BFA, comparatively, and then Legion it was decent, but now it's kind of transferred over to the hardware side. We're still missing a little bit, but I would say that it was nice that you just had that foundation of those things to take forward on there. It's a wild ride, right? We're just.
Yeah, I don't really. There's a lot of things I don't do that I probably should do to like optimize my setup. I just haven't had like a reason to. Like I don't have round robin interrupts. Like my healer has interrupt bound. My tank has interrupt bound. They're on separate skill buttons. That's pretty much how I handle it.
Yeah.
Because I never need more than 2 interrupts.
No, yeah, especially if they're low cooldown interrupts too. Um, you can if as long as they come back up decently. That's the only bad thing about the druid comp, right? Solar beam is a 45-second
Yeah.
cooldown. Feels bad. Feels real bad on that front. So this week, what are you looking forward to? Your goal this week, I think, is a 7.
Yeah, I'd like to do a 7 on either team. I think shamans are definitely going to do it. So I'll definitely get a 7 done. I'd like to get a 7 or an 8 because I think even 8 gives a higher item level. I think 8 gives 216 versus the 213 from a 7.
You might be right. Yeah, you might be right on that one.
Yeah, so if I could get
Yeah.
an 8, that would be really cool. I did a 5 on the hunters,
Hmm.
and it didn't feel great. Just because I feel like I'm a little under geared still.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But if I could get up to a 7, like that's the problem. The next item level upgrade for me from the cash is at 7. So if I could get to 7, that'd be cool. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
to. But like I've been barely timing threes, so
I gotcha.
I might just do more dungeons just to like get better at doing dungeons.
Yeah, no, it's just like the nice thing though that I liked about the Trinity comp though, and I said it before, is that you actually get to do the mechanics. Like, so you get to figure out like how the fight was supposed to be designed and how you're supposed to handle it. Like a big one for me though was the Dr. Ickes fight. Like for the longest time I had no idea how that fight was even supposed to work. Um, and now I get it. Like you're supposed to dispel the little goop that's on the tank.
Yeah,
And
it's so much easier when you have a dispel though. Like
yes.
holy cow.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. And another one too, like Hakar, I'm pretty sure I understand Hakar now as well. I had no idea how Hakar worked for the longest time. Just because you could delete him if you overgeared the fight.
Yeah.
But no.
Overgearing content doesn't feel great either though. It takes
No.
to that
No.
point.
Unless you have corruption, then it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh man, I actually would be like I was really ready for them to get rid of corruption. So,
Yes.
like give me like Twilight Devastation
I
back and
know, give me Twilight Dev. I just want it back on the
I would take
tanks.
it. Yeah,
That
I would
was
take
so
it back for
fun.
the day. It was just
Yeah.
fun. It was just
Yeah.
kind of funny.
It wasn't.
It was stupid, but it was
No,
fun.
it was, yeah, but it made a comp that wasn't viable, totally viable at that point. Um, that's the only thing I'm concerned about with, like, I know you want to do you're doing the DKs, but you're not actually doing the 4 or 5 tanks though, right? You're planning on doing like actual 3D DPS in there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna run 3 Frost. Although I did that at the beginning of I did that in the beginning of 8-3 as well. I was running 3 Unholy. But I really hated Unholy. And it wasn't that easy to macro. I'm hoping Frost is a little bit more enjoyable, and I think it'll be a little bit of a PvP team if I were to
Oh
guess.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Frost got buffed too recently.
Yeah, it's actually pretty strong right now, and like one of the best talents is actually the talent where um, you get like this stacking buff where it increases your like if you cast Chains of Frost, it like does damage,
Mm-hmm.
but like it does a ton of damage, at least at lower levels. So like it's like whenever I cast that, like if I have like enough stacks and I just cast it on a mob, it just like instantly dies. It's like
Oh wow.
insane. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that translates well to like 4 times in like BGs or something because that would be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
One thing that I do that I read today actually about for PvP as well is, so they just gave tanks like a 10% DR, basically a damage reduction, for most tanks except Vengeance. Vengeance getting a little bit more, but that damage reduction does not apply to PvP. And they made this change at the end of BFA, but tanks take an increased 50% damage in PvP combat. So like some tanks, like specifically like prot warriors, get absolutely thrashed by like casters. Like just because they can't do anything about it and they're taking increased damage. So I was thinking if I actually PvP'd or I tried to more on the shamans, what I had been doing is a prot paladin and 2 enhancement. I think I'd just go with instead maybe 3
Throw
enhancement.
that.
Yeah,
Upgrade.
I was, or for if I was doing BGs, I think I would switch the prop paladin to holy instead, right? Just so you don't take that increased damage, and you can actually just start doing some
Well, and
hopefully better heals.
Holy does like so much damage.
Yeah,
Like
so you're actually still doing damage as
holy
well.
cow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
for
that
the
could work.
arenas, just go for 3 enhancement. But that's still the goal. I still have been very, very hesitant to even touch PvP just because I know even in the 14 to 1600 bracket, like the eye level of all the people you're facing is it's either boosters or they're super overgeared for where they should be.
Yeah.
On
Well,
there.
that's actually, I didn't say it earlier. That's actually why I'm kind of excited about playing DKs, is because I like main a Holy Paladin now, and I say main kind of loosely,
Yeah.
but um, I know how to play Holy Paladin really well, and I like really enjoy it. So I'm kind of hoping that I can make that like at least somewhat viable. Like even if I just end up doing like 4s and 5s, like I'd be happy with that.
Oh yeah. Oh for sure. For sure. So on my side for this week, looking forward to hopefully getting a 10 key. So I didn't time a 10 last week, so I have a bunch of 9s. We'll see. We'll see how
Do you
that
have any good
goes.
9s?
I think I had 2 Plague Falls and a Necrotic Wake. And I'm not a
Oh,
big fan of Plague Fall, but I did do a Plague Fall 10 and timed it, +2. So I don't know. Maybe I should be more optimistic about Plague Fall than I am.
I don't like Plaguefall, especially on like on a tyrannical week. Actually, I feel like isn't that bad because if you can do the mechanics, it's all like
Yes.
super doable.
Oh, for sure.
I think Ickis actually is kind of easier on tyrannical because you're not like pushing him from platform to platform too
Yes.
quickly.
Exactly.
So you're almost like forced to focus on what's going on around you. Necrotic Wake, on the other hand, is a little rough on Tyrannical, and I've been struggling kind of at the higher keys on getting the last boss down. That being said, I haven't failed yet, but like that anxiety, I think the problem is I just get anxiety every time I'm in the dungeon. So like
So-
kind of makes it's just not fun.
Yeah, so one of the things too is make sure if that's the case, like if you're stacking the spears, like if you're trying to pick up all of them on the way, I would definitely grab the hammers then as well, because the first one and then the entrance one you can grab that one as well as the one right after that second little mini boss before you cross the bridge. There's another hammer right there.
Yeah, I need to start doing that.
Yeah, because I noticed because on one of them like I went and I had like 3 spears and 3 hammers for the last boss. And the 3 spears dropped him to like, I want to say 60 to 55%, but then the 3 hammers did another decent chunk where he dropped like 40% on top of that.
I definitely need to do that. I actually don't even have the extra action button bound, so there's a few improvements I could make there.
Oh, gotcha. So yeah, I finally Necrotic Wake was what forced me to bind my extra action button. It's actually F8 for me.
I was gonna bind it to an F key because like
you don't use it that often, but it comes in super handy because it's one of those things where I'm like, oh crap, and so also on top of that, if you get those orbs slay on trash. The anima orb or whatnot. I don't know if you saw that on stream before, but I went into the Stitch Flush area and I pulled like 3 of those packs, and popped a couple of orbs and it basically wiped everything.
I mean, the nice thing about Tyrannical is like the trash is so easy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So you make up so much time. You make up so much time.
Yeah, I was like, the first dungeon of the week, I was just cutting through trash, and I was like, holy cow, this feels so good. Like, I never want to go back to Fortified.
It does feel bad when you go back and like you're like, I just did a +5 or +6, and trash was a choke, and all of a sudden now trash is like potentially killing me. Like, well, what is happening here?
I don't even have to think about it. Like I did HOA earlier, and like the shaman AOE damage is just insane now. So like, yeah, I just pull like 2 or 3 packs and just start AOEing and things just fall over.
Oh, like, that's one of the definitely the nice things about the shamans though, is I've never seen such high AOE numbers. When the stars align and you get the earthquake off or the stormkeeper's chain lightning going, I mean their DPS is bananas. Bananas-ly amazing.
Especially with a demon hunter. Like I know you don't have a demon hunter, but like my demon hunter does like just as much damage. Like I pull a group and I'm doing like 20k DPS as a group. It's insane.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, I think I think we kind of covered the recap there a little bit of what's
Yeah, I think so.
of what's going on.
Good luck this week.
Yeah, thanks. I think we'll try to have these, obviously a little more regular interval, and maybe we'll get some more guests in here.
Yeah, we should see if Crumble wants to join us. I don't know what that dude does.
I feel like I asked him. I'll ask him again. I'll keep bugging him, right?
Okay. Yeah. Or maybe he didn't want to do video. I feel like no, I don't know. I feel like you never told me if you asked him or not. So maybe you just didn't tell.
I think I did. I think he declined. But I mean, we've had that with a couple people, right? But I mean, it's one of those things where I totally get it, right? It's nice to just go on the internet and have anonymity as well at the same time.
Yeah, everybody just wants to have a good time.
Exactly, just chill. I get it. So with that was episode 15, guys. We'll try to be back next week for 16, but still here. We haven't actually gone anywhere. We just didn't do a podcast for like a month and a half. So
yeah,
it's fun.
Something like that. I don't know where Law disappeared. No,
yeah, he's MIA. It's okay.
He's working.
Yeah, blast him for working. He's also probably crypto mining too. So yeah. Using all the power for that. But okay, with that, we'll call it there. Thanks for hanging out, Zog. Yeah. All right.